I'm Isabelle Chopin, I'm MPG's director. Welcome again. So what are we going to do this afternoon? As you know, political, civic, and societal participation of new European is rapidly emerging as a key challenge for the EU, but also for the national level, and for the functioning of European democracy in diversifying societies. And when we established this project, the New Europeans Initiatives, we aim to address this challenge. So the project is a 3-year project. It started in January 2023. It's funded by the EU Citizenship, Equality, Rights, Value Programme, the CERF program, and it continues our long-standing work as a think and do tank in the area of citizenship and effective participation. Indeed, we have at MPG quite long tradition of researching and supporting migrant political and civic participation. Our first proposal aiming to ensure voting rights for third country nationals was published in 1998 through a proposed European legislation. And I'm not going to mention all the projects or research we had. I mean, the latest one around the previous European election was indeed in 2019 with the Vote Europa campaign that supported mobilization strategy of the European Parliament, concentrating at young people, young first-time voter who are EU residents in another member states or naturalized national citizens. So through the New European Initiative, we aim to support the self-empowerment of new Europeans and to promote their participation in democracy at all levels, including European Parliament election and the EU's consolidated forms of citizen participation. But first, what do we mean by new Europeans? We do mean third country national residents, as well as naturalized migrants, second generation, and EU mobile citizens who lack access to full civic and political participation. Indeed, I mean, what we can see in the research is that not only most immigrants are granted very little opportunity to inform and improve the policies that affect them daily, but also that actors such as civil society organizations working to close this civic, political, and societal participation gap very often lack the needed evidence and the capacity to better engage with the policy and decision makers. And furthermore, the mainstream actors very rarely partner with migrant leaders or any other affected group. This is with this in mind that the New Europeans Initiative is built around 4 strands of activities, reaching all 27 of the EU member states. The first strand is a bottom-up research into the barriers to participation experienced by new Europeans that will lead to recommendations and practical guidelines on policymaking and consultative involvement in decision-making. The second one is a comparative research on participation policies with the newly developed Participation Policy Index. And earlier this month, MPG held the first project webinar presenting and discussing the first results of our research. And the report on overcoming obstacles to participation will be published very soon. The third part is the annual Democracy Academy that offers a training and capacity building program for migrant leaders and relevant migrant-led civil society organization that will start later in November. And finally, the promotion of evidence-based policy solution to boost participation. And this year, obviously, we focus on the upcoming European elections and ways to increase electoral participation with a policy dialogue workshop today and a renewed Vote Europa campaign in 2024. So today's workshop, as we just said, falls under the promotion of evidence to boost the European Parliament elections. A few words, we can say that voter turnout has been declining globally, I mean, really globally, and the decline is threatening the essence of democracy. For example, the European Parliament elections shows a consistent decrease in the past decade, well, more than a decade, actually, since '79. And over the past decade, approximately 5 million immigrants constituting 2% of the European electorate acquired national citizenship, meaning that they have the possibility to vote. Additionally, there is a growing population of EU mobile citizens, which amounts to approximately 11 million citizens of voting age, or 3% of the electorate, who also have the right to vote in either their country of residence or their country of citizenship. But despite all these growing numbers, studies show that the new Europeans participate less frequently in elections compared to other citizens. But if there is a participation gap for mobile voter, it's just not in terms of voter turnout, but it's also in their representation within legislative bodies and governments. And addressing this gap is crucial to ensure that the European Parliament election truly represent all segments of society. So we will first hear a presentation by Sinam Yilmaz, MPG Integration Policy Analyst, about the key results of her policy brief titled Enhancing Electoral Participation of Mobile Voter in the European Parliament Election 2024, which will be published in a couple of weeks. Then Başak Yafkan, MPG's Head of Research, will moderate the panel discussion with distinguished speakers who will discuss non-partisan campaigns to get out the new Europeans vote during the European election. After the panel debate, we will present our Vote Europa 2024 campaign, and the European Parliament will inform us about how they will support civil society in mobilizing for taking part in the European Parliament elections. And then we will have Matthias and Alex closing the session.